In the past 2 years, I have performed in 4 different musical theater plays. In the first one, I got to play 2 different characters, a miserable man and a gay man. In the second one, I was a bar owner. In the third one, I got to play a Latino man. And in the fourth one, I was a crazy man. Thanks to all of these performances, I have realized that the best thing about acting is the opportunity to experience other lives. But I also learned that if I let myself immerse deeply into the character, I could get hurt mentally and emotionally. This is because when you immerse yourself into the character, their world, and their problems, you get influenced by that same imaginary world with those same imaginary problems. And it's funny because we always say that acting is for people with talent and experience, but we don't realize that society made us the best actors. You see, people transform you because you unconsciously let them transform you. You become a different person depending on who you're friends with or what society thinks you are. You create your own imaginary world depending on how you want your life to be seen as, with your own imaginary problems depending on what society thinks those problems should be. So you're playing a character. So then there's basically no difference between acting and being in society because you have a character in both. You have an audience in both. You have a stage in which to perform in both. And most importantly, you have a script to follow in both. When you're in society, the script you feel like you have to follow is the expectations and stereotypes of your race, your gender, or your appearance. You see, when acting, there's someone that will see you audition for a certain role, and they will determine if you're the best fit for that role or not. This is called casting. But in society, your audition is your race, your gender, or your appearance, and if any of these match the character, then you are the character without exceptions. But know that you can use this to your advantage, that if you choose the character you want to play, you will become that character. That if you surround yourself with your role models, you will become your role model. And sometimes you are the casting director. Sometimes you decide who plays which character. I want to show you an example. Let's use standardized tests because they are graded in a consistent manner, which means that everyone is graded in the same way. So basically, everyone gets to audition for the same role. In standardized tests, Asians tend to score higher than white people, Hispanics, and African American people. And these are good statistics, but they don't imply anything at all, because it is impossible to create a different test for every single person in the world. However, the unintended consequence is that you, by just seeing this scores, are unconsciously perceiving Asians to be better at standardized tests. But Asians don't score higher because of a biological advantage that makes them better at standardized tests, but rather because of a cultural difference among many Asian families of studying hard. And your brain is drawing erroneous conclusions. It is telling you that Asians are the best actors to play standardized tests. And these erroneous conclusions lead us to categorize people into average scores and average this and average that. And I want to emphasize the word average because that means that most of the people are within that average range. But what about the ones that scored higher or lower? I view this as a scatter plot in which there is a line of best fit. So basically, in this scatter plot, most of the people are indeed great actors to play standardized tests. But no one is the same. We don't know their economic backgrounds, their education, how their day was going, or even if they wanted to take this test, but would still expect this person to perform just as well as these other people. And what about this person, who's a way better fit for not only this role, but for other more challenging roles as well? Well, this person is being restricted from playing roles that actually allow him or her to improve himself or herself. It is just as if you had received advanced education in quantum physics, but the school still enrolls you in Physics 1 because they say that the average student in this school cannot make it to quantum physics. You know you can do well in quantum physics, but your ability to improve yourself is limited by the social expectations and stereotypes. And you know, in all 4 plays I have performed in, my teacher always gave me the character she knew was going to be challenging for me. The character that would take me out of my comfort zone, that would give me room to grow. So then, your job as the casting director is to give every person you know a chance to improve themselves by exposing them to new ideas and perspectives that will open their minds. And I want to go back to this topic of the expectations and requirements we, as the casting crew, give to these roles. I want you to imagine for a second. I want you to imagine yourself in the class where you are or were not very good at. Done? Okay. Now visualize your teacher coming into the classroom and telling you that if you don't score the same as what the average student in the school scores in the final exam, then you're no longer part of the school. How would you feel? Nervous, right? So how does this relate to what I am talking about? As it turns out, when people are reminded of their expected performance, they perform significantly worse than the people who weren't reminded. And this is no different with actors, because when they are reminded of the reputation of their past plays, of their expected performance, they get nervous because they feel like they have to be what society views them as. So let's use me as an example. I come from a Chinese family, but I was born here in Mexico. As a child, I, most of the time, performed better than my peers, but not because I wanted to, but because I felt like I needed to prove my Asian intelligence, to prove that I belonged to the model minority. But there is no Asian intelligence. There is no model minority. And so if I didn't want to play this role, but I felt like I needed to, then who was I? And the more I played this role, the less me I became. Let me explain. As an actor, as I said before, I could be influenced by the problems, the world, and the identity of the character I was playing. And the same thing happens to all of us. The truth is that no one is being 100% themselves in social media or in society. We often decorate our life as if it was perfect in social media, and we try to play the character that is described in the scripts that society gave us. But we don't realize that the more we play these roles, the harder it becomes to embrace our life, our problems, and our identity, because our life is not even as close as what we portray in social media. Our identity is not suitable to the character we feel like we need to play to feel accepted by society. And our problems are just not relevant for the role. So how can we avoid this? How can we avoid playing the same role over and over and over again? It's simple. Just surround yourself with people that are similar to you, because with these people, labels don't exist, and your true self is allowed to come to the surface. So, to wrap it all up, actors and actresses are really not that different from the rest of us. They also have scripts, they also have guidelines, and they also get influenced by the character they are playing. But most of the time, we can use these to our advantage. Know that if people change you, then choose to be with people that are either similar to you or that inspire you to become a better version of yourself. And know that you can improve others by exposing them to new ideas and perspectives that will open their minds. Thank you.